Hello and welcome to Hudson Valley Vibes. My name is Aaron Kershaw. Delighted to be kicking off this brand new podcast with you. Over the span of my professional career, I've been privileged to share stories that have resonated and connected with so many. Now I'm excited to bring this experience to our conversations here. We're going to explore diverse voices, dynamic stories here in the Hudson Valley, from interviews with local innovators to deep dives with community leaders. We'll uncover the rich tapestry that makes our area so unique. So tune in, become part of this new community where every story matters. Today we're diving into a conversation with somebody I've had the pleasure of knowing for over 2 decades. She's not only a titan in the world of marketing and branding, she's also the author of Brand Up, the ultimate playbook for college and career success. A longtime friend, Stacey Cohen. Stacey, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Aaron. I am so happy to be here, to be with you, and what a great start to a Monday.
It really is. You know, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show. Being somebody I've known for so many years, familiar with how important it is for communication.
Yes.
And you've done so many incredible things in your career that for me it's somewhat of an honor to sit here, that you have the time on this beautiful Monday morning to sit with me. So thank you so much.
And thank you for having me as your first guest.
Yes, I know.
I'm honored and totally privileged.
Thank you, thank you. So let's jump right in because I know your time is tight. So tell me a little bit about co-communications, where it started and what's going on now, because I hear now you've done some major expansions. So
Yes.
Take us back in time and bring us to the present.
Sure. Started co-communications out of a spare bedroom in 1997. So we're going on 27 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And started out as a traditional public relations agency, and we have evolved into an integrated communications firm offering services from branding to advertising, social media, content development, and of course public relations will always be our sweet spot.
You're talking about an industry that has changed so much since you first began in this. So now here we are podcasting, which years ago, you know that I had the 10-year career with terrestrial radio. It's so interesting to me that things get better with time. So in that vein, talk about some of your experiences of how things have changed and how you've changed with the times to still provide that top quality marketing advice and consultation to your clients.
That's a great question, and it honestly seems like yesterday when I was on WVOX with you. I just had to add that it's absolutely insane. You know, I am a firm believer. My mantra is that it's not even the new competitive advantage, it's the competitive advantage is about innovation and change. We've all heard the saying, if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same result. But now, if you keep doing the same thing, you are going to be stuck in reverse. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, we always are looking ahead. It's so easy to look in the rearview mirror. We're always looking ahead. I used to say in this business, and I know you'll agree, that you needed eyes in the front and the back of your body. Now you need sensors every part of the body. You know, it's 24/7 news cycle, and we're marketing in the moment now. So you can change a creative, a marketing campaign literally in the minute. And so that requires new skills and also being open. And also I think part of it is being open to fail and just quickly figuring out how you can be most relevant to your audience now and not yesterday.
Well, I agree with you, and to me it's always important to look back to see what mistakes or what the trials and errors you've done. You know, at this point in my life, I really do believe in planning. That planning is everything. And when you put together a good business plan, part of it is looking at hindsight, looking and reviewing your numbers. As you mentioned, things change so often these days, but the one thing that is so amazing to me is metrics. from day to day, you can try a keyword for a week, change it, try a different keyword, change it, and then look at, after 5 weeks, what was the most effective keyword, and now you have a strategy. That doesn't take you 5 months and 3 different focus groups for you to come up with this.
Great point. And I want to go back to what you said. For us, we will never start an engagement with a new client without having a strategic plan. So we first go through a discovery process. And it's really critical. You've got to build the foundation. It's so easy just to chase after the next shiny penny. But you've got to pause, slow down, really identify your short, long-term goals. Who is your target audience? What do they need? And also, what are the messages, the magnetic messages that are going to resonate with them that will ultimately activate them to do something?
You know, the one thing that I've noticed in my time and going back to college late in life is professionals know how to go about creating a plan and following a plan, where we on the inside as business owners, we have a message we want to put out there. But to be honest, unless it's measured by an outside source, we don't know if that is the true message that is intended or needed, because it may not be received in the manner we think it's being received in.
That is so true. And I think that's why I always talk about return on engagement, right? And active listening. You know, we all know as business owners, return on investment and looking at the bottom line, but you've got to take the pulse of your target audience, like on a regular basis. Are they engaging with you? To me, when someone tells me that they have like 25,000 Instagram followers, it doesn't mean anything unless I see some engagement. So I also like the metrics are important, but it's also like that quality versus quantity thing.
Well, listen, now we've established you as being a pro. You know what you're doing. You understand how to make a difference and how to look back. Now, let's talk about as you're looking forward. You've made a lot of changes. I know when we first met, Co-Communications was on Main Street, now Kisco, New York. I didn't realize you moved down here to White Plains. So tell us about the growth of you're international. What's going on?
Yes, we have some international clients, and you know what? I believe COVID accelerated a lot of this. Right? It's we're so much more in a global world. And after being in business for so many years, your network builds, right? And that's key for any business, because truly your network is your net worth. And as you build that network, you expand geographically.
Geographically, you're correct.
And I did have my coffee, but we have clients in Florida, California, the UK, Toronto,
and Texas.
Yes.
And Texas. So
yes.
You're all over.
Yes.
So was there a strategic plan to this, or did it happen organically?
Organically.
You know, people have heard from you, hey, I'm over here in Texas. I hear you're doing a great job up there in New York. Can you help us down here?
Organically, but also planting seeds, right?
Okay.
Because, for example, we have a niche in 2 verticals, real estate and healthcare. So real estate, when I look at our clients in real estate, we have had a luxury residential brokerage in Hawaii. We're working with an organization in Florida. And because we also have the niche in healthcare, we have a company in the UK that we're working with. They, several years back, the principal of the company, she started a new business, a visiting nurse business in New York, and now she's starting another business, and she came back to us again. Wow. And so again, I believe everything at the end of the day is relationship building.
It really is. I mean, the fact that you're sitting here is about a long relationship, and I have not serviced you nor your clients in many, many years. So, I mean, we go back to your daughter's bat mitzvah. So.
Yes. Yes, and talking about my daughter's bat mitzvah, which is now she's 27 and she's an engineer, and my older daughter is working in banking. I couldn't be prouder. But I have told them since they're young, right? Lessons that you teach your kids, and also my staff, like in this world. And I always said, you're very smart girls, but it is not what you know, it's who you know. And I also brought them up with a can-do attitude. And the same thing with my staff. I always tell them there are 2 words I do not want to hear is I can't. So be a problem solver, not a problem spotter, right? Because it's so easy to just whine about a problem and say, oh, I can't, I emailed, I called.
So, it's interesting to me, now you're touching on something that is unique to women businesses. And yes, men can be uplifters, but you really get the compassion of I want to teach you so that you grow, where it's almost like I'm going to water you as a plant, whereas when you have a male-dominated, and I've been that person as well, we don't understand the nurturing side as much. It's not within us. So we are more of, here's a list, here's a logical methodology that women follow the logic, but they also insert the emotion.
Yes.
And that I really appreciated. In my life, I've had many different mentors who have been women, and they've brought out the compassion in me so that I've seen difference. So now let's move on a little bit more, because you've got so much that's going on. You have a new podcast yourself that's launching. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's coming out in January, and it has actually been, the idea was born probably about 10 years ago. And I actually first came up with the name Co-Talks. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. But I, of course, got the URL, right? Always got the URL, and it just sat there. I probably have hundreds of URLs, by the way, as I'm sure that you do.
Yes, I do.
And it's just, you know what? I think also as a result of the book, I've been on so many different podcasts that I wanted for the company, and it's not just my podcast, and that's also what our company is all about, like collaboration, right? So there's going to be different hosts and different topics, and everybody is a subject matter expert in a different area. I'm going to take the area of like personal branding, thought leadership. Just my business partner will take more of the strategic planning. So we have about 4 or 5 of us on the team that are going to act as different hosts.
It sounds like it's going to be interesting, where you have different relative experience. So instead of somebody dealing with a hypothetical when they're moving into a gray area of their knowledge, you're going to be able to fill in pretty much the full circle.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And which I recommend for you, by the way, we also got a tagline trademarked for the show. You want to hear it?
Please do.
The voice of small business.
Okay. I like that. The voice of small business.
Yes.
Okay. So it's going to be Co-Chat.
Co-Talk.
Co-Talk. The voice of small business. I like it. If you need a voiceover, I can get that in there.
You know what? I love it. You're hired.
All right. I love it. Okay. So now, as you've made your changes in your career, you've mentioned the marketing, you've mentioned the advertising, you mentioned the design, but now you're moving and you're really focusing in. So instead of working with large organizations, you're kind of narrowing your focus. Talk to me about who your ideal clients are. There's CEOs and titans like yourself.
I would say that if I looked at the revenue pie, we're still working with startups, mid-sized businesses, but also a lot of Fortune 100 companies. You know, we work with Amazon when they open a warehouse in Connecticut, So it's very diverse. I think over the years, I've found this real niche in personal branding and thought leadership. So I've been working with the CEOs to again be able to amplify their voice, and sometimes it does require figuring out what is their superpower.
It's so funny because as you've known me a long time, and before we went on the air, you were kind of sizing me up for who I am now, and it was very much of feeling like she's trying to, and she is identifying my superpowers that I don't see in myself. Where once again, I extend my hand and I speak thinking that these are the words that I should be speaking because this is what represents me the best that I see. But then when you speak with a professional like yourself, everything changes, because that's when I realized that you can take my words and better than AI and really give me something that is me, but you made me feel amazing in a way that I haven't thought about myself. So it's uplifting, but it's also, there's that guidance in there as well.
Well, here's what it's about. And a lot of people don't know this about me, but my undergraduate degree was human development and psychology. And then I have an MBA in marketing, and like you, I'm a lifelong learner. I just got a certificate from NYU Stern School of Business on Media Technology Entertainment. But this is about, we all need to market. Besides our businesses, we need to market ourselves.
Well, what a lot of people don't understand, though, is the proper way to market, and that's what I had just mentioned. So for me, when we were talking, I showed you a document. I have a list of elevator speeches for different circumstances, for different types of individuals. If I'm running into somebody who's white collar, I speak one way, blue collar, I speak another way, nonprofit, I speak a third way. But knowing and identifying the key terms associated to how that person receives information is so important. Now, what you don't know is my first year of undergrad, it was in behavioral science.
Oh, love it. You know what? Somehow I am not surprised.
I've always loved the study of people.
Me
and
too.
Being on the radio for so many years, it gave me such an incredible insight. I didn't know how to translate that into consultation for businesses, even though I had been doing it for years. And now I'd like to apologize to any of my clients out there that some of my advice, but it may have been 10% off. But you can come back. Now it's solid. But the point is, as we grow, we learn.
Yes.
But as professionals like yourself that can give us insights earlier on so that when we're spending money, our ROI has a relative chance of being more successful.
100,000%. It's so true, Aaron, because it's, how do I put this to you? It's almost as if it doesn't matter if it's a product, a service, or a person. At the end of the day, and some of it is instinctual, I have to say. I feel like I've been given a gift. Like, I just know how to figure out what that superpower is. If you think about marketing, it's not about me. It's not about the brand. And this is the whole concept, features versus benefits. What is the value of you, right? What's the value of you, Aaron? What's the value of your product, right? And so my mantra is like, add value, not clutter. There is so much clutter out there, so how do you cut through it? You've got to add value, and that only comes from understanding your audience.
Now, you in your life, you've added a lot of value to the marketplace. And the latest one, well, it's not the latest because I know you're probably working on a second book, which I know you are. Well, let's talk about what you've added, the value you've added to the marketplace in brand, in your new book, which I don't have the title yet.
Oh, the new book is Brand Up 2.0, Propel Your Early Career Success, and it's coming out January 2025.
So tell us about is it going to be a series of books? Because you have one, you have two. So tell us a little bit about the first book.
The first book is directed to teenagers, and that's the first question I always get. How did a professional marketer write a book for teenagers? And it's because My daughters went to a very competitive high school in Westchester, and a lot of kids, 4.2 GPAs, and I just had an epiphany. I was like, wow, you really need to market yourself. And then there was all this data coming out that the majority of admission officers are now looking at high school students' social media as part of the decision-making process. And then at the same time, Harvard, which is like a 3% acceptance rate, Harvard, these 10 brilliant kids got into Harvard, bad social media behavior, their admission was revoked.
Wow.
And so I started questioning, why aren't schools teaching about personal branding and digital leadership in school? I found one in North Broward, Florida. And actually the collaborator of my book, he taught it then to ninth graders. It was made mandatory. So he'd work with the kids on vision boards. I've sat in his classroom. I was so blown away. Was writing for the Huffington Post, wrote an article, went viral. I did a TEDx talk on the importance of developing your personal brand early. And then, of course, the book came.
You know, as you're sitting here talking, I'm thinking, because we had this earlier conversation about something that I'm working on, and I instantly thought about how we could apply the online sphere with an outline of which classes that fit as an after-school program to be able to take it regionally or nationally using that online system that I had already referred to.
Well, we should definitely talk offline because I am developing online curriculum as we speak.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Talk about
the second
serendipity.
Book. Oh. Yes.
Everything's coming together at the right time. So, okay, now we're getting close to the end here, and I wanted to talk about you've been doing these speaking engagements. So tell me a little bit about speaking engagements, because I've thought about, as you know, I want to work with veterans, and part of working with veterans is going to be putting me in front of groups as part that are already working with nonprofits.
Yes.
And so I'm interested in that sphere, but I want to hear about what you have going on. Tell me a little about it.
I love. I've developed a love for teaching. As a matter of fact, one thing I didn't share with you is I'm going to be teaching a marketing, branding, public relations course in all my spare time at Fordham University. They have a new hospitality program that they're rolling out. I love teaching. I love helping people. And I love inspiring people. And after the TEDx talk, I just have, again, I don't have as much bandwidth as I'd like to speak. So I choose very carefully. Because to me, I want to, especially with youth, I want to level the playing field for all youth. So my book is not just for Ivy League kids. It's for kids that maybe they want to enter a trade, or maybe they want to become the next TikTok star. So some of my speaking has taken me to under-resourced schools in the Bronx. And I also, a couple of months ago, I was asked to speak to Ukraine refugees living in Poland.
Wow.
And yes, and I love, one of my passions is mentoring women starting up businesses, and again, finding their voice, helping people finding their voice and then being able to amplify it. It's almost like we all have an inner champion, and I want to help them bring it out because we have blinders on. We don't, and that's also key, like for you, and I'm so glad that you listened to what I had to say. Part of it is self-awareness, but the other part is understanding how others perceive you.
That took me a lot of time. Because I was always taught, I had a lot of mentors when I was younger that were older gentlemen, that they were old baby boomers. But the way that they had taught me was very much, I'm shaking your hand with my right hand, my business cards in my left hand, very much pushing it out there. And that's the way I've always been. And what I've realized is there's a softer way of doing it where you create interest to be interested and not interesting is what was told to me by some of, because now I'm financially licensed, and spending 4 years working in finances has really toned me down. It's changed me, and it gave me that difference, whereas one of my advisors had said, listen, you want to be the most interested and less interesting, because people will follow up with you, and when you follow up with them, they will listen to you because you flattered them just by paying attention, rather than trying to get them to pay attention to you. And I'm still struggling with it, because we all have that need to kind of go, hey, this is who I am, here's how I can help you, here's what I do, here's what I've done. When if we just sit back and say, hey, how are you, my name is Aaron, this is what I do, so tell me about yourself.
Yes. And also showing, I love what you said before, also showing vulnerability. Like, I love that trait. And I also think the world is spinning so quickly. Just as you said, if you can slow down, listen, and also show people that you care. Because as humans, we all want to feel recognized, and we want to feel valued.
Absolutely. And that's something so many people, even whether because of COVID, now more of us are working at home still. They're feeling less value.
Yes.
The push is to bring them back to work. People who are going to work, they're feeling less value because maybe when they were at their home with their pet actually made them feel better. So we're all going through the struggles. I know, I mean, I'm a disabled veteran with PTSD that hit me at 45 years old. In the later part of my life now, I've become more compassionate to mental health issues and understanding that you should hire a professional, especially if you have these issues. Don't look at it as a block, look at it as an opportunity to bring somebody in. And I'm not just talking about mental health, I'm talking about to build a business, to build a brand. I now understand where my knowledge, experience, and emotions end.
Yes.
And where I need assistance from that point forward. So if you can introduce this to teens, and then I can imagine your second book is going to be targeted towards the adults, doing very similar.
Yeah, there's a lot of universals.
Absolutely. Stacey, it's been great to have you here with me. So I ask you, do you have any ending thoughts?
You know, I love what you said when we were talking before we went on air, so to speak, and you mentioned the word canvas. Like, that to me, I'm generally a very optimistic, can-do person, and just whoever you are, like, if you can just think of, like, you know, a canvas, and you've got to own it, right? You've got to manufacture your own opportunities. Nobody's going to bring opportunities to your doorstep. Like, you can paint that canvas like any color that you want. You can add depth, dimension, and again, own it, and you know, and just have a can-do attitude. Get rid of that self-limiting talk as much as you can. We all have it, and just see, also important, how you can serve others. Really, really important.
Well, Stacey, it was such a pleasure to have you. This is my first program now in 14 years. It feels good to be back behind the microphone, trying something different. I really had an incredible time having this conversation with you. It was great catching up with you. I look forward to being a guest on your program.
Yes. And I just want to wish you the best of luck. And I have to tell you, you got it, and you got this.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you very much for tuning in to Hudson Valley Vibes. This was the inaugural program. I'm sitting here with Stacey Cohen, co-communications, and as well as an author. And she's got this great book that's out there, Brand Up, the ultimate playbook for college and career success. Pay attention, she's got a new book coming out in January. She's got a new podcast coming out as well. You're going to hear more from me. I'm going to sign off for now. I'm going to say thank you again for tuning in here on the inaugural program of Hudson Valley Vibes. My name is Aaron Kershaw. Talk to you soon.